mainly for fracture hips.
Okay. I mean, they've fallen out of popularity again. There was a lot of talk related to the complications associated with it, and in the French study there was a death associated with lumbar plexus, and so a lot of places have really reduced the amount. The big problem is that they're a high volume block, and they're a intramuscular injection, and so by nature they don't last very long, and they have a high risk of high levels of blood levels. Equally, the psoas is a bit like the interscalene, isn't it? Because the psoas muscle is what they call a multi-pennate muscle. What does that mean? Any idea what that means? It means
Multiple origins?
multiple origins and a single tendon. So the psoas comes off the lumbar vertebrae, the interscalene comes off the upper cervical vertebrae, and they all have a common tendon and they go insert. What that means is that you have lots of bits of muscle. So what that engenders really is a lot of anatomical variation, and you see this very much in the interscalene, where you may well see the nerve root going outside the C5, outside the anterior scalene, in front of it, through it. You may see three muscles, but you're not seeing anything abnormal. It's just three bits of muscle that you're seeing. And the same thing with lumbar plexus is that the lumbar plexus is formed by multiple origins. So the nerves can go through different areas, and so again, if you look at the actual cross-section of the lumbar plexus, you'll find that the nerves can move between different areas of the muscles, and so it has a lot of anatomical variation. The problem we have with the lumbar plexus is that the interscalene is superficial. The lumbar plexus is deep, and our problem there is that we're looking at deep structures, and then that's where this comes in. The problem with ultrasound is that it doesn't like 6 inches of fat. You know, when you're going 10 centimetres, the amount of reflection you're getting reduces, therefore the clarity of what you're seeing is reduced, the frequency of the probe you have to use is lower, therefore the resolution is not as good. So the reason why lumbar plexus blocks have not found popularity with ultrasound is because of the depth and the resolution. But in certain people, with the distances aren't too great, and in young people, and so with children and young adults, then you probably have an opportunity to do that. In the elderly, you may well find that you'll struggle to actually see anything clear, although you can use landmarks, ultrasound landmarks, as a guide to where you want to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the lumbar area. There's our classical. What we'll do is we'll just quickly put our probe, bit cold head, over where we're going to do it. Okay, so there we are. So we're over where we want to be. We're doing it. And does that show us anything reasonable? Well, it doesn't show us anything too bad. It shows us the psoas just here. There's the psoas muscle there. And so it looks not too bad. If I come more laterally, what you can see is the psoas is getting smaller there. So the two ways of looking at the lumbar spine, because what you've got to do, you've done lumbar spine scanning, yeah? So you've either got transverse or you've got longitudinal. We're going to quickly go through both. Transverse, now you can also tell me what's at the top of the picture there. Hang on, let me put that in the middle. There you go, you can see the tip of the... You see that little white dot is the tip of the spinous process. So you know you're in the midline when you see that, or should we say, you know you're in the midline of that vertebrae. If that vertebrae is rotated, you may not be in the midline. Okay? And what we've got is a nice black dropout shadows, and you've got those two bright echoes. The first two bright echoes, what are they?
If you go further laterally,
the white line. Dura metal. What should be the dura?
What's that there? What, that bright echo?
It's the article of procedure.
You've just done the echo.
It's a dura.
No, it's not. It's a lamina. It's a lamina. Okay. So what we're seeing then if we move down, you'll see that bright white echo
now you could see the difference. Yeah.
Now if we freeze there, now you've got a different picture, okay? What I want you to do is not look at the bit that you want to see, which is you're all now looking at that bit there, aren't you? Because that shows you the spine and the dura. But I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is that line there.
then you mark
Okay.
this.
Now that line there has dropping. It's dropping a black shadow beneath it. So what will it be?
Bone.
Bone. So what bone will be out there? Because it's lateral to the thing. So here we are. We have a look at here.
Transverse process?
It's a transverse process, yes. So what we've got is we're looking
I'm
at.
using the curvilinear because in lumbar it's just
So we're looking out. So there is the. There is a lamina, and we are coming out here, and there is our transverse process. So what we're looking at is we're trying to find the transverse process, because that's important for us, because we don't want the neuraxial structures, we want the transverse process, because that's our landmark for these. Okay. So there's our lamina, and then as we scan up, you'll see that now we're looking between the transverse processes. Because what we can see now is you can see the body of psoas muscle. This is the body of psoas muscle. Okay? So if I come up, it will disappear because the transverse process is in front of it. And as I go up again, the transverse process will go. And so I will see it better there. So if I come down, transverse process, psoas, come down, transverse process, psoas. So you can see as you come up and down, you're changing your picture. Equally, if we now turn longitudinally, and you've all been shown the sawtooth picture, yes? So the sawtooth picture, what's that formed by then?
It's the articular process.
It's the articular processes. If we angle in, then you get your epidural, you're going into the interlaminar. What we don't want to angle in now. What we want to do is move laterally. So what we move laterally, and what do we see now?
The two transverse processes.
It's the transverse processes. So if we freeze that
This
there,
fine white line is your dura, and between the two is your epidural space.
okay.
It is a
So
space.
what's that there?
Obviously, this is a good probe.
That should be the muscle in between the transverse processes. So multifidus. Erectus spinal. Quadratus lumbar.
I've shown you it. It's psoas, and it's deep to the transverse processes. So that's the tip of the transverse process. So if it's deep to the tip of the transverse process, what we're looking at is we're looking like that. So if we see the tips, what we're then seeing is beneath it, and we're looking now in between those two. And so what we're seeing now is the psoas. And what I'm going to say to you is, there are the nerve roots going through the psoas. And you'll say, Barry's told me that because he's really clever, and so it must be true.